Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear my voice and also see my screen clearly. Today, basically, I want us to look at two types of resistance levels. I want us to look at diagonal levels. I also want to look at the horizontal levels. So, I think traditionally, most people are used to drawing support levels horizontally, like we draw this as a support. Then most people draw this as support there. And then somebody else may identify this as a resistance. Then somebody else may identify this as a support. Then maybe somebody else may identify this as a support. So the way I've drawn them right now is okay. This is still fine. It's still okay. This is still some good way of drawing them. But the only problem is that it does not cover everything to do with the support and resistance level. This is why we have to expand it a bit into some elements which most people don't actually look at. So first of all, I'll explain what it means to have like a what do we really need to look at before we categorize this as a good resistance level, or this as a good resistance level, or this as a good resistance, or this as support, or this as a good support. So for a resistance to be a good resistance level, we don't just expect it to be used just once, then that becomes a resistance level. No. We want the same place to be used several. That is, if this is a resistance level, in the past, it must have been used somewhere as a resistance level. So it's even better if the same level have been used consecutively for the same purpose. That is, for example, we have a support here. The price went up, it came down. Before it even broke here in the past, it was still a resistance support, sorry. The price came back to the same place, we still have the same support. Then the price came up before it finally broke below it. So that is a sign that that is a good support level. It's not like some proof that it's a good support, but it is a sign that this is a support level. So that is one thing which you look at before you categorize a level as a good level. It must have been used consecutively for the same purpose. That is for a support, a support, a support. The next thing is the same level must have been used previously for an opposite purpose. That is, for example, if we have this, we have like if we have a level like this, then the price goes to that point, and then it comes up and it goes down back to the same place. We have something like this. So you can see that this level basically have been used not only for a support, but also as a resistance, which means if the price again in the future gets to this point here, this becomes a very good place to look for a sell from. We are not selling not just because the price is at a resistance level. We are selling because the same place was used previously as a good support. Does this make sense? So we are selling not just because that level has been used as a good resistance level. We are selling because it was used previously for an opposite purpose, for a buy purpose. So if, for example, we are selling here, we're selling here, just ensure that the same place was used nicely for a buy. Like it had here, it had here. The next thing which you want to look at is if the way the price was crossing that level was with a big green red candle. So if it's a buy, if it's breaking upwards, then you want to ensure that this level here was actually broken with a big green candle. But if it's a sell like the way we have it now, then you want to ensure that the same place was broken below with a very big red candle. So this is just a sign that we were actually struggling to get below this level here. It's not a confirmation that this is still a good level, but it shows you that we had a hard time crossing from above to below the same place. The same thing applies with if the price crosses beyond. If this happens above, you want to ensure that the same place was crossed with a big green candle like here. This is one thing you have to ensure, that the same place was crossed with a very big green candle. So we want to sell. If this happens, when you have a support and this happens, ensure that this is, you can identify this and you can identify this before the price comes back to the same place, and you now start looking for buy position. This is what we do expect to be happening. This is what may ultimately happen. So we'll have a buy here, we'll have a buy here, and then we'll have a sell here. So yes, this is a very good example. So horizontally, traditionally, this is how we were drawing our support levels and resistance levels. And these are some of the rules which we had previously, that the same place must have been used previously for an opposite purpose. So if you are looking for a support, the same place must have been used previously as a resistance place. And if you're looking for a buy and a buy, the same place must have been a resistance. So if you're looking for a sell, the same place must have been a support before. And the same place must have been broken with a big red candle or a big green candle. So this is traditional way of drawing support and resistance level. Most people just learn this and then they remain with it. They learn this and then they stick to it. It's still beneficial as long as you know how to do it and identify the breakout, clear breakouts, retracements back to the same place, and how to identify these zones correctly. So the other one is where we have a line like this diagonally, then the price goes up to that point, bounces off from it, heads straight to the lower side, then comes back to the same place, then continue down, and then it comes back to the same place, then it continues down, then it comes back and crosses beyond that line, and then we find this correction here. So if this happens, if you see something like this forming on any chart, this is still a resistance level. So the same rules which we had applying on this are the same ones which apply on this one here. It must have been used previously, so that before we buy here, the same place must have been used previously as a resistance level. So technically, this is a good place to look for a buy from. You could still have sold here because you can see multiple times the price was not able to break below it, above it, sorry. You may also have sold here, but this here is the ideal place to look for a buy from. This is the ideal place you want to look for a buy from. So thank you very much. This should bring us to the end of today's webinar. I know it has been a brief one. I'm going to do a more expanded webinar on this so that we are able to check this properly on real life examples. That is next time. So thank you very much. See you again next time.